Hello everyone, and welcome back for our second instalment of Purple Revisited. As promised, we're here now at level 8. Give you a little snapshot of where the build's at this moment in time. I think it's a pretty good place to join it because there's been a bit of a change about with the enhancements. We've gone for the cone blast now in place of the chain, supported by all the goodness still in the Tainted Scholar tree, so more pack dice, the excellent third core, the stange ability for the temporary hit points, the second core which gives the equally excellent when leveling web spell as well as a bit more spell damage, and we've got this utter dark blast going on now, so our base blast now is light damage instead of force, which means we can use our Morning Lord past lives to good effect. That's giving us 30 extra light and alignment spell power. In here on the other side we've got a couple of little spell-like abilities here to help us deal with bigger single targets. The Stricken in particular hits pretty hard at the low levels. I don't think it scales too well, but at these lower levels, with our 3 metas that we've got now, quick and maximising power, that's what I took at level 1, 3 and 6 for meta magics. So with those on, it hits pretty hard. This consume is a damage over time, and I've already run across a couple of instances where that's worked quite nicely for us, apart from just chipping away at a boss that you're attacking. The hag in what's it called, that quest, you'll know the one I mean anyway. There's a quest with where you've got to find the hag in the Feywild, isn't there? And she keeps after a couple of hits she keeps fading out and wandering off a bit, doesn't she? Well, hitting her with this ticking damage, when she does fade out, she keeps taking the damage, and you're able to see from the ticks where it is she's actually got to. So 2 nice elements to that. So that got rid of her in fairly short order, and there's a nice synergy in this tree between these 2 attacks, which must be targeted at an opponent, by the way. You can't just fire them off into nothing, and the reason I'm mentioning that is you get a nice speed bonus when you fire. It says consume only. I thought it worked off both of them, but maybe it is just consume. But I've tested, and I can't just fire it randomly to get the speed bonus. There has to be an opponent to shoot at. They are a little bit clunky, these 2. They don't sort of converge on the target. You know, if the target moves out of the way, then tough luck, you've missed it. So it's nicer if the target is actively homing in on you, then it's almost guaranteed to hit. If it's running across your line of fire, then good luck hitting them with these things. A bit more spell power we've taken, more universal spell power here. The all-important cone blast, and each core is worth 5 universal spell power. There's a bit more fortification there, which is nice too, and immunity to fear there, not bad either, because we don't have that from anywhere else at the moment. One little point at the moment in Fade Arc for the cat, which is giving 5 force and 5 universal, so not bad. These 2, by the way, also go off light spell power. The chaotic, which is alignment, so light and alignment spell power, so anything boosting that is ideal. So at the moment we're focused more on our cold pact, as always, plus light spell power and crit, which is helping these 2 and our base blast damage. So let's have a quick look what we've done with the gear to reflect that. You'll have seen this before, I think. This is like the cornerstone of any light leveling build, at least for me. Insightful spell power is extremely rare before level 10, where you can Canith craft this kind of thing. So Insightful Radiance is great, and Insightful Radiance Lore, so crit chance, is even rarer to find. Insightful spell crit chance, so that's really good. Charisma as well obviously helps us. It's our casting stat while leveling. We are obviously taking Constitution on level ups, prioritising the tanky side of things, but we're not sniffing at any charisma. Sapphire of Heroism in there is nice, 2 on all saves, without me having to chug potions, so nice to have. Gone with the Icy Forum post from the what do you call it, event in the spring, one of the festivals. It's the anniversary event, isn't it, of course. So that's where we're getting our glaciation, cold spell power and cold crit chance there. The Insightful Evocation focus does help us because our blast is classed as an evocation spell. A sneaky little Diamond of Intelligence 3 for a bit more spell power. Otherwise the gear is, broadly speaking, a combination of Feywild and Isle of Dread. So we've got the Fey Summer Ring, which is giving us our light spell power and crit. This, I'll reiterate, is Insightful spell power and crit, which stacks. There is Insightful cold power on this neck piece, as well as Insightful spell focus, which is nice for the DCs. More spell DCs and a bit more spell power on our ring. The Spinneret from the Slave Lord's chain, very nice one to have. Plus it has a Sapphire of Heavy Fort slotted, very nice to help avoid the critical hits. Trinket is probably redundant at this stage. Well, definitely is, because we've got 5 con on the gloves here. Nice defensive item, boosting up the AC, which, given the number of martial past lives he has, the AC is pretty high, and we're getting a decent number of misses from that, so that's nice, an extra layer of defense. When he reaches the cap, we might get the odd miss from trash, but against any boss worth its salt, his AC of, I think it's somewhere in the low 200s maybe, it's derisory, to be honest, and any boss will go straight through that. But for getting misses from packs of trash, still not too bad, so worth having. Our trusty Suncatcher here, 2 profane bonus plus Sapphire of Snow Peak speed. The spell DCs are not amazing by any means, but 30 outside of Reaper on web is not terrible, and 26 on colour spray, so we're getting plenty of fails, especially on the colour spray, but they're doing a half decent job. The armour's very nice from the Fey, extra spell power and crit on there. Another really nice item, Mysterious Braces from the Monster Hunter NPC in the Hall of Heroes, trading for Mysterious Remnants on Champion Hunter weekends. So we've got 15 extra healing amp, which will help us get the most out of our trusty potions we're using, and some stacking MRR. The Autumn Cloak, that's a nice one. Blurry, we're not casting Blur. In fact, I don't even take Blur as a spell. First, because the Reaper mode really nerfs that into almost uselessness depending on what level you're playing at. Second, because we'll be picking up Displacement shortly and we'll be using that instead. Insightful Con is nice on there, and the Wind Through the Trees, I think that's the one that can lead people to be knocked down when they try and target you without a save, and it triggers quite often, so that's quite nice to have. Another Fey defensive item, not too bad. And then the boots, these are nice to have, especially at the level they come available. At level 6, 25% speed is pretty good for anybody who doesn't have the Quiver of Alacrity, which is purple. It's a nice little milestone to reach whenever I reach 6, because it means I don't have to mess about clicking something to give me 5 minutes of even reasonable speed. And the electric absorb and resist side of that is quite nice too, against the some of the nasty shaman things that you can face. So yeah, reasonable on the gear side, and as we can see here, we're up into the 200s and 25% crit chance on both cold and light, which is what we're bothered about at the moment. So happy days. Con, you can see, is a healthy 38. That's our main stat, and the charisma is the second one. So how have we managed so far? Well, I did a chilled out run through Tangle Route, as I sometimes like to do. That was pretty much immediately after the... No, I think I did Waterworks first, and then I went to Tangle Route after the first recording. So that was nice. On Elite only, so we did very nicely there. Then I did the whole of Three Barrel Cove. Pretty nice, pretty smooth. There was, of course, the fire caves we were rocking and rolling. Against all the fire opponents, our cold pact was really melting stuff. But then we got the reverse side of that. In the two-toed Tobias one particularly, there are skeleton derivative opponents, and against those our pact is not doing anything because they're completely immune, aren't they, to cold. But it seems that it's only the skeleton types. No other undead that I've encountered, at least up to now, has been immune, so that's been nice. There have been some strange things. One I've known about for a long time, and it's a real bugbear of mine. The one in the Thornright quest, the fire beetles. I mean, fire beetle, and it's completely immune to cold. I can only think that it's a bug that the developers have not seen fit to correct, because otherwise it just seems ridiculous. So that did rankle. There was the odd cold creature in, like is it cold wolves or something at the end of the immortality lessons? There are packs of, is it wolves and bears and things? So not ideal, but don't forget that even when things are immune to your pact, they'll never be immune to the base damage, either the force or the light. So it's an inconvenience rather than what we saw with leveling the caster druid when he got to an ooze which was completely immune to both fire and cold. He didn't have any alternatives, any fallback there. So it's certainly not like that. It's just, a question of taking a bit longer to beat the group down. What else have I got listed here? Yes, contrary to, well, basically any other caster builds at the low levels where you're having to manage the mana and basically go behind your spell-like abilities, because there's so much that the Warlock does that costs nothing, literally nothing. The only things that are costing me mana are the crowd control I'm doing, the colour spray and the web. Everything else is for free, so the stricken and consume, the big single target things, for free. The blast obviously doesn't cost any mana. Is there anything else I should highlight in here? Yeah, the stanch. The stanch is depravity, which stacks up over time. And you'll see, like there, we've got 0 at the moment. You gain it by hitting opponents. Is it hitting or killing? One or the other. And the more cores you have in this tree, the quicker it stacks up over time. I think I'm right in saying. But again, 0 cost. So really, it's extremely forgiving. That's one reason I'd definitely recommend this class to a newer player who's wanting to get their feet wet with the casting side of things, just learn a few of the mechanics, but not be too worried about mana management, because that can be a real pain, especially in the lower levels when things are short. Spells, we'll have a quick look. The important ones here, DDO is great to have. The Warlock gets it, as you can see, nice and early. Really nice to have by the time you go into Feywild. Well, I don't know how you guys are, but for me, there are several quests in there that lend themselves really well to the door, so I really like to have it for then. The web, as I mentioned, is from the second core in Tainted Scholar. Really nice CC. Sleet Storm, that'll be for use later, and we do pick up Ice Storm as well later on. So more crowd control potential there. The theme of the tanky Warlock, spells wise for me, is no save. Anything that's no save is really good for us, because our DC, our casting stat charisma, will be low for a caster when we reach the cap. So we're looking at stuff that doesn't afford the opponent a save, that we can still be effective with. And lucky for us, the Cold Warlock has plenty of that. So we'll discuss that in future episodes. As we level up, we get little bonuses to. Can I show you here? Yes. Little pact related bonuses, as with every Warlock. So our saves one is called Bulwark of the Storm, and it boosts our will saves. So in time we're going to have a decent will save, because we're going to be taking Force of Personality. So instead of Wisdom, we're going to be using Charisma for our will save. So that's going to be significantly stronger. And otherwise we've also got this Frozen Footsteps one. Now, Absorption is really nice to have on a tanky build. I would prefer that was fire or electric, because those are the two most popular sources of elemental damage in the endgame raids. But I'm sure we'll find a use for the cold. Pact spells, up to now, nothing to write home about. We've got the Gust of Wind, which is nice for clearing sort of persistent effects like Toxic Cloud or whatever it happens to be, but really situational, nothing special. And then the first one was Merfolk's Blessing, something to do with swimming faster or something. Again, very underwhelming, but do not despair, it does get quite a bit better. And I think I'm going to like the ones that come later. They definitely fit into the no save category. So and also into the single target category, which is he's going to have plenty on the AOE side, and he's going to be lacking in single target. So hopefully it might help give a bit of balance to the build, the stuff that comes later. We've got copies of Creeping Cold and Greater Creeping Cold to come. Also, for the first time for me, Nyak's Biting Cold will be on the menu. We'll have the potential to cast all three of those on a nasty single target, which should be nice. So yeah, and my reading suggests that none of those afford a save to the opponent, so that's nice too. Don't think there's anything more to mention on that side. I think that's about it for the feats and things. The skills, I've begun to, as I said I would, move into the Intimidate. Jump, I think 10 points should see us to 40 when we get to where we want to go. Spellcraft, obviously we're going all the way with that. Intimidate, we're going all the way. When we start being able to, I'll start putting points into concentration as well. Concentration, just to reiterate, to be able to do a scroll, I think the biggest one would be greater restoration for negative levels if needs be, because I think in Sentinel there is a spell like ability for, is it either raise dead or resurrection, and I would prefer to have that to do it with no fail than to risk doing a clunky scroll in the middle of a dodgy situation, because experience tells me that if you're being fired upon, or if you need it done in a hurry and you're under fire, you need that spell to be like no fail, no possibility of being interrupted. Don't think there's anything else to show. So what I want to show here at this stage, we saw the very successful chain blast in the early stages. I want to show here just how effective and efficient the cone can be at clearing the packs of opponents. The limitation of the chain is that although it has much more range to it, it can only hit up to 3 things at a time. Now this cone hits everything in the area, so when you're facing, like on a quest like Irestone Inlet, where there's every group is like between 5, 8, maybe even 10 opponents, the cone is just really nice to have, especially when combined with web to sort of pin the things in place and you just start jumping around them. So to that end, I have chosen a couple of quests with well, I hope I'm remembering right, with fairly big groups of opponents, where hopefully we're going to be able to showcase the potential of this blast type.
Hey, you're here. Great. Pull that lever, will you?
Oh. What did I do? I did something wrong, didn't I? That should have opened. Did I pull the wrong thing? It's been a while since... Oh, yeah, I did pull the wrong thing, okay. Been a while since I've done this one. Haven't put a point in tumble yet. I suppose for the sake of 1 point I should just go ahead and do it, but my thinking there was that we end up with, in the 5th core of Enlightened Spirit, there's this thing here which should always be on. Gain feather falling, so we should never be falling, you know, and taking damage that way. Oh, another thing to mention about the cone, second to none with the box breaking. Just look at this, and again, doesn't cost any mana to do. So web down and just get stuck in. Albeit they're not paying us attention. That sunburst there was a random Colours of the Queen trigger. But being as it goes off light spell power, and at the moment we've got light spell power stacked, I think that will do some serious damage. I found that between the colour spray and the web, we've got most of the bases covered. If you get some things like elementals that are completely immune to web, but can be got by colour spray, and other things like undeads that against which colour spray is fairly useless, but web is very strong. I'm trying to press backspace to oh crikey, that's not good, is it? Let's see if we can do that again. I was trying to press backspace to find the location of the I tell you what we'll do, we'll cheat. We'll get Ellie in here. The hirelings can heal underwater, but I can't. If I could have just swigged a potion there, I would have done it. But yeah, lack of evasion exposed big time here. And what about crest? Lack of crests as well. We're not. Oh, there's one back there. Flipping heck. Okay, I think we better stop and breathe, hadn't we? Now, is there one down there in that pit? There sometimes is. I don't think there is this time. Nope. Now this is going to be interesting. I can give us feather falling. And we can have a jump potion. Where are we at now? Let's just... So jump is almost... Well, with I want to be able to have it without having to swig a potion, but it's almost to the point of no further gains possible when we have a potion going, so that's good. You can see they're being pinned in place quite nicely. The cone again, melting things quite nicely, but it's got more potential than chain for me in like situations where you're seriously outnumbered. Here I should probably change back to single target blast because we've got a nasty single target coming. So I led with the two big things. I don't know whether they hit the stricken and consume. I think they did, or at least one of them did, because it was taking ticking damage, wasn't it? Okay. So it's a nice habit to get into against a boss. Just swap to your single target thing if you're on your own with said boss, so that you don't lose a dice. Any of the chain, cone, other blast shapes cost you one imbue dice. Imbue dice, no, it's a packed damage dice that it costs. I was going to get rid of this. I'll just leave that off, I think, because every time I swap the weapons to trigger that little bonus to spell power, I'm losing spell points, I'm noticing, because my weapon here has wizardry on it, so it's costing me spell points to do it. For the sake of a couple of little extra spell power, I'm not going to... So colour spray as well, working reasonably well. Now it's just down to me to remember the way onwards. Is it this way? No, it isn't. No, that's the way we came. Well done. Sure it's not this way. Nope. It's up the stairs, isn't it? Yeah. Right, let's try and set up shop in this little corner. So you can see the web. Really good job, undeads. Now you can see as well there, all the skeleton types, they were taking a bit to grind down. They don't take the cold damage. So we've two choices against them: just grind them down with the light side of our blast, or hit them with these stricken and consume if there's only a single target. As soon as you kill the necromancer, the undeads disappear, which is nice. Oh god. I missed the initial shot, but did you see the trigger of the feeding frenzy, so extra speed? It's based on the number of warlock levels you have, so the higher up we go, the more we should notice the boost from that. Let me just check if that also triggers on stricken and not just consume. Yes, so the text is wrong. Both stricken and consume trigger that feeding frenzy speed boost. And that's regardless of whether or not you hit the target. If you have something to shoot at but miss it, you still get the speed boost, which is nice. I'm saying that because there are quite a few things from memory. Hasn't the barbarian got a number of things where you've got to actually hit with the special attack to get the bonus it offers? I seem to remember that. Can't remember what it was, but I remember being a little bit frustrated on occasion by that kind of thing. So we can see a Reaper down there. Again, we need this Necro out of the way, and then the other stuff will melt. I missed him. That's something else with the stricken and consume. A bit like when you're firing a bow without precise shot. If something is in the way of the target, that'll eat the stricken or consume, and you'll miss your intended target. I think we've seen enough here, you know, with skeleton type targets to see that, yeah, although it's annoying, it's by no means progress breaking to have these immunities to the pact, because it is only part of your damage that's being put to one side. And as you can see here with the stuff that doesn't have the immunity, we're really kicking some arse here. Helps that we can just delete the skeletons in this one by deleting the casters that are controlling them. Now, I'm completely ignoring the stand, which is a major misplay. So we're going into we should use it like we've used the Shard Storm in Epics in the past. We're going into a big encounter here, so let's trigger this thing. You can see a nice temp hit point boost based off our, I think it's based off our constitution score, or our, no, is it 50% of, we'll check that in a minute. I think it's 50% of your actual hit point total. It's a big one anyway. People are reluctant to use it sometimes because it gives you a small stacking debuff to total hit points until you rest or until the quest finishes. But for the enormous defensive benefit it gives, it's totally worth it, and it's immediate. There's no wind up. You just press the button and the points are there. I forget how long it actually lasts for, if this thing will just let... Oh god, just die. I love the shattering effects from the Warlock Cold Pact. Let's just see some detail on this. So yeah, 50% of the max hit points. So at the moment for us it's about 180, which is great. And they last for 1 minute, so easy enough for whatever big encounter you've gone into, unless it really does drag on. So we're going to trigger it again now. So you really need for the stricken and consume either a stationary target, as that one was there, or something that's actively homing in on you, so it's not going to be dodging out of the way of the thing. If it's running across you, as I mentioned, good luck hitting with that. Happy times with the webs here. You can see that big stricken there, one shot that thing, very nice. Let's see what we can do with the stricken and consume against this boss here. So you hit him there with both of them, and he hasn't lasted too much longer, has he? So that's nice.
Look, that mysterious island. It's gone.
I think we just click on all the things we can click on, including this person, and then is it done? Yeah, happy days. As one of the newer quests, yeah, I was about to say there's some reasonably nice stuff in here for anybody doing Sonic. In fact, oh look, it's got a Reaper enchantment on it as well. For anybody doing a Bard or a Sonic Warlock, that could be quite a nice little item. And a gold coin as well. Obviously now I've put the it's only really for the first 2 or 3, maximum 4 levels I would use those cookies. After that you expect your character to be able to do equivalent, if not better. So in our case we've got this stricken to do our big single target damage for us. So the other one I have chosen to try to demonstrate our prowess against big groups is the Red Willows one in Jurassico. Just to mention here, I've only invested 1 point in UMD, and already we have a decent chance to activate teleport scrolls. Alright, he's cheating because he does have a tome of UMD, but even without the tome, the Warlock gets, can I show? It's a feat, I think they get it twice. This deceive item, +5 on UMD. I think they get one early on in the leveling process, which obviously we've already had there, you can see. There's another one that comes in around, is it level 13, I think? So they end up getting 10 bonus on UMD. And especially if you are a caster Warlock, so charisma main stat, you'll end up with, because it's a charisma skill, you'll end up with a really nice UMD for probably for only putting 1 point in. So if you want to use your points on other things and save investing on UMD, you totally can. The only reason I would put more into the UMD, as you can see I've only put 1 in myself here. The only reason for putting more is if you are just leveling 1 to 20 and want to have the options to do these race scrolls and teleporting and these fire shield things and other useful stuff as soon as you possibly can. Then I think it's justified to put more points in. Okay. I'm also cheating with the heroism on the boots. That's giving me 10 more 100% chance to activate this teleport thing. You watch, I'll go and fail now. In your own time, game. So yes, specifically pick this one again for the big groups of opponents. But I think we saw in that last one the potential of the cone. All right, it's not devastating things immediately, but in conjunction with the web's giving us plenty of time to just chip things down, in 2 or 3 seconds and they're all gone, aren't they?
Red Willow spun a clever tale, asking you to recover 4 items from research camps that were overrun by goblinoids.
Just to reiterate something I've mentioned in the past, you can walk along and trigger the Eternal Flask of Free Movement and other similar things, but if you try walking and doing these candies from the Night Revels event, this happens. So it stops you, but still triggers the thing. But if you're trying to do something like jumping along and making it go, sometimes it goes on cooldown, but just doesn't give you the effect. Sorted out the elemental resistances, got some of them on the gear as well, so for the 4 main ones we're looking pretty decent. I could actually have the little bubble head thing, you know, all the buffs from the Fialan person at this stage, because as I mentioned, I did complete the Tangle Root chain, which on its own would be enough for those buffs, I think. For whatever reason, it's just not something I do. I think typically because I would spend more than an hour away, you know, doing questing and that kind of thing. So to have to stop what I'm doing and go back to renew those buffs, just a bit of a chore. Lots of happy shatterings and an airborne chest. We love it. Any of you got any favourite cookies from the festival event? Or do you maybe, like me for a long time, kind of ignore it, thinking, oh, it's just not really worth bothering with? I must say I quite enjoyed, I kind of cherry-picked the, I was looking for basically big single target damages, so I cherry-picked the ones that I've held on to. A lot of the other stuff, like, I don't know, boosting spell power a bit, that kind of thing, I left to one side. We could actually have made use of, is there one to boost cold? Maybe there is one to boost cold spell power. Could have made use of that. And what's happened there? Have you disappeared, or? Obtain research notes, so I've missed one just back there, haven't I? In here, I think. There we go.
You have recovered all of the lost items Red Willow described.
I didn't plan it this way, but we can show a nice little use of the DDO here. Send us back to the start, which is right next to the area with the person we need to talk to. if I go and talk to the wrong person, of course.
You have returned the items to their caretakers. Inform Red Willow of your success. Red Willow has opened a gate that leads to the culprit behind this.
Again, these
Red
groups
Willow's
of giants,
gateway
it's easy
deposits
to
you
get
into the center of a long,
overwhelmed by
overgrown
this
ruin.
lot.
Something here is
So
not right.
between the CC and the AoE we have all the tools to deal with this kind of stuff. Let's see if we can one-shot one. No, not quite. I mentioned the webs work super nicely. We have a little bit of an advantage. As mentioned previously, we have 3 cleric pass lives on this character, which gives us a +3 bonus to conjuration DCs, and both web and the later coming Evard's tentacles are conjuration spells. So that is going to help us more in the leveling process than at cap. I don't expect us to have a meaningful spell DC in anything at the cap. Should have switched to single target for that big Goliath, but didn't. But he went down reasonably well anyway, didn't he?
Over the goblin tribe is shattered.
Okay, happy days. I think I've demonstrated what I wanted to. So the too long didn't listen version would be ran into 1 or 2 immunities, but nothing that really makes the level experience, excessively painful, for having the cold. And broadly speaking, it's been like that. Throw down the webs, let rip with the cone, and watch things just melt. So contrary to some tanky builds, this is in my opinion at least, a very smooth leveler. I mean, up until 12 we level it as a standard Warlock, so I suppose that's to be expected. But I want to show as well that even playing in the tankier Enlightened Spirit tree, it can still be, just as effective. It can kill 20 opponents in the same time it can kill 1 with the AoE it has. So I look forward to sharing that with you all. So with that in mind, we will reconvene at level 12, at which point we're going to swap into said Enlightened Spirit. So we'll have a pulsing aura for those of you who don't know the Warlock. The ticking aura does damage and gives us a bank of temporary hit points. And also we'll have 2 AoE bursts centered on our character, as well as the excellent Evard's Black Tentacle AoE for both crowd control and when leveling, at least for damage. So I look forward to showing and sharing all of that with you all. Thanks very much as always for looking, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.